Ladies and gentlemen, we have a real treat today. My good friend, Austin Nichols. Austin, we were just talking right before we started about when we first met on the yacht. And I was coming to Austin and I was like, Austin, dude, I'm really struggling. And Austin was crushing it. He still is. But at that time, he was like really doing some incredible things. And this was at a mastermind that we were at. I was like, man, Austin, you were also in the military. I'm in the military right now and I just can't figure it out. He was like, dude, you're just not working. And I was like, yeah, but like this, but he's like, you have to understand, like you're in the military, you're used to doing hard things, but you're not doing the hard thing inside of the business. And I look on Facebook today, Austin, and this is what you put. If you don't put in the work and effort, you don't see results. Having an online business isn't easy at first. It's hard at the beginning. Once you get the basic down, it becomes a lot easier. But don't start an online business expecting to hit 10K a month by sitting by your phone and posting once a week. Austin, let's start off with talking about why do you think so many people put forth such little effort but expect such great results?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just the way people are posting about their business. Like we see it all the time. I was talking with my wife and she even made something like a post about it. Is like you see all these people, like especially this time of year, posting like saying, hey, hit 10K in 30 days, hit 30K in like 30 days. And it's just it's possible, but it's going to be a rare occasion. We've coached hundreds of people at this point, and we do have people that hit 20K or their first week with us, or 10K their first month with us, and stuff like that. But it's those people that put forth that effort and just like are driving. They're like, I need this, I want this. They have that mindset, the mentality of like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to fail. And a lot of people don't have that anymore. They want things handed to them, and they see all this fake promotions and stuff like that, or like fake results or testimonials, and they think it's that easy. So they think hiring somebody and giving them money is going to give them those results. And it just doesn't work like that. Like everybody wants it for free. Everybody wants free things. Like they make excuses. It's just a ton of excuses these days. And so many people are, not just putting forth the effort and wanting that to achieve that themselves. They want it, basically, like I said, just hand it to them. And it's just a common thing nowadays, and it sucks. But when you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, you're screwing up on this. I don't know if I can cuss or not, but like you're screwing up on this right now. And they're like, oh, I'm just tired, or I was just sick, or my past coach didn't work. I posted twice a day and it wasn't working. It's like, but you're not doing the necessary things. It's more than just posting. Like you can't just post and hope. There's no such thing as posting and hoping. And you could be the best content creator out there, but if nobody knows what you do just because you post, no one's going to come to you and ask you questions. You don't have a script, you don't have any way to talk to people. You're not used to talking to people, you're used to expressing yourself. And it's those ways, like you have to make a connection with people to bring them in. It's just how it is nowadays.
Austin, I want you to take me back. I remember you telling me on the boat. So, for those of you listening, Austin is in business with his wife, who's also amazing. I was a little disappointed when she wasn't on here. I'm not going to lie, but that's okay. I will forgive you guys. I remember there was a point in time when you guys were not coaching people and things were pretty bad and you didn't know if anything was going to work out. And I remember I went home and I told my girlfriend about you guys. I met these two people and like now they're doing these incredible numbers inside of their business, but where they were was like nowhere where they are now. So kind of bring me back to that lowest moment that you had where you were like losing everything. And how did you turn things around, man? Because I feel like that's where so many people are right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's me and my wife now. She was my girlfriend at the time, and we met at the gym. We were personal trainers, and we were working constantly. I remember waking up at 5 a.m. every morning and getting back home at like 9:30, 10 p.m. every single day, Monday through Saturday, sometimes even Sundays if we wanted to work extra hours. And being a personal trainer, you only get paid if your client shows up. And if your client isn't showing up, it's not like you just get handed clients. Like you have to go in and you have to talk with people. And I remember being like, I was talking to her and I was like, we should start online coaching and training people online. Like we'll train people that are in the area, stuff like that. And I remember my manager at the time heard about it and fired me on the spot. He was like, you can't do that. Even though other people were doing that, he was like, you can't do that. Like, I'm firing you. He had something against me. I don't know. So I remember talking with Sam later that night, and I was like, hey, like, I'm gonna do this. And we kind of came up with a game plan. She was like, you do this, I'm gonna continue doing in person. I'll help promote your stuff, yada yada, and we'll go from there. Like, we'll escalate it, and then I'll move into online coaching with you. Um, Later that night, she reposted something I posted, and she got fired. He was like, you can't do this, can't do this. And so she, basically got fired slash quit. And so we didn't have any money in our account at the moment. Like, it was just at the very beginning of the pay period. Like, we had nothing coming back in. I think there was going to be like maybe a paycheck of like 70 something bucks. Um, and I remember we spent that 70 something bucks on like the rest of the food. We were kind of working, we were trying to do things. We waited about a month of just grinding. Like, we made flyers. We were waking up at 2:30, 3 a.m. We were putting flyers on people's cars. We were putting them in people's mailbox about, in-person training at our gym, which was our garage at the time. And we didn't get one person from like a month or two of doing that every single day, Monday through Sunday. And I remember we got an envelope in the mail, and it said that the house was being foreclosed, and we had to come up with the last like 2 or 3 months payments, or it was getting foreclosed. So right after we got served with that, the next day we got served with another letter saying like, hey, your electricity is going to be turned off if you don't pay this bill. And it was just like one thing after another the same exact day. And I remember, we kind of talked about it. We were trying to come up with money. We were going to my mom's house just for like rice and potatoes, like just to survive, to make this happen, because we wanted this to happen more than anything. And I remember we sat down one day and we were trying to look over our numbers. We tried getting a loan. Our credits were too bad because of COVID. There's two different things that happened during COVID that fucked up both of our credits. And I remember I was like, hey, I have a boat that's in the shop at the mechanics that I've had since, COVID in there. I haven't had enough money to take it out. What if I can sell that? So it was like a $15,000 boat. It was just like immaculate. It was a beautiful boat. And I remember talking to the mechanic. I was like, hey, can I sell this boat out of the mechanic shop? Like, you'll get paid from whatever I get paid. Like, I'll pay you on the spot. He'll come there to look at it, and then he could take it away. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. So I sold the boat for like $3,500, $4,500, something like that, super cheap, just to get inside this mastermind, Tanner's mastermind. I put everything down, and we sat there and talked about it. We're like, hey, we talked for like 6 hours. We're like, hey, like, we have to make this happen. If it doesn't happen, we're going to be homeless. But we agreed, like, hey, let's put all this money towards it and let's just grind it out. And I remember, I think it was like 3 or 4 days into the program, like I was watching the modules and like everything that he was teaching me, and I was doing it at the same time. Like, I didn't want any time to waste. I didn't want to wait a week. I didn't want to do any of that. Like, as I was learning it, I was doing it on the side. I had my phone in my hand, watching the videos, messaging, posting, doing all these different things. And I was starting to book calls. I think I was booking like 14 calls a day. It was something crazy. And we ended up hitting, I think it was like $16,000 our first week with him. We decided to move out of the house. We didn't want to be in that house anymore. We didn't want to have to pay the bills and stuff like that. So we ended up having the house foreclosed officially. We ended up having 2 of my cars repoed because we couldn't afford the bills and stuff like that. We were trying to catch up on. And we were just grinding out. We ended up having to move in with her mom, stayed in a small room, and we were just working inside of there. We were just every single day, we'd wake up, go to the gym, come back, and just grind in there. And it wasn't pretty. Like, it wasn't pretty at all. Like, we were struggling, but we had that mindset of like, hey, if we fail, like, we're going to be homeless, and there's no point in failing. You have to do everything you possibly can to survive. It's basically like getting pulled under the water. You're not just going to, let somebody take you under the water. You're going to do everything you can to fight for that last breath, to survive a little bit longer, and fight for that last breath to survive a little bit longer. And that's the mentality I had when it came to like, we have to make this work, or we have to figure something else out. But that was probably the lowest time of our moment. It's like, hey, we're going to be homeless. We had 1 car left, had $16 in our name, because we gave everything to that course, and we just grinded out and made it work. And we ended up doubling it the next month, and then doubling that the next month. And we just kept doing the same thing and just growing out from there, and ended up having amazing results from it.
Why decide to invest when you had nothing? Because what I see a lot of
If
is I'll invest when I have the money.
you're always, there's always something comes up, because if we didn't invest into something, we would have paid the bills, and we would have been the same exact spot we were in. We would have been struggling to make that next income. We would have been struggling to get a client in. We would have had to possibly go back to a 9 to 5. And not only would we have to do that, but you have that process of, okay, now I have to look for a job. Now I have to do interviews. Now I have to wait to get approved for that job. Now I have to work 2-3 weeks to get that first paycheck. And we didn't have that time. You know, we sat down and talked about it. Like, there's no point in paying for something, like paying our mortgage. You know, this is dramatic circumstance, but like, there was no point in paying that and then starting from the same spot we were in. We might as well put that to invest in something, because we're already probably going to lose the house if it doesn't fail, or if it does fail, we're going to lose the house regardless. So we put everything we had, and we're like, hey, we have to make a move. Like, if we don't, we're going to be the same exact spot doing the same exact thing, and we're going to, 2 months down the road, we're going to be having that same foreclosure letter. We're going to have the same letter for our power being turned off. So it was that move that was like, hey, if we don't take action, we never will. We'll end up staying in that same rat race of trying to survive and struggle. And so we made the move of, let's invest every single penny we have. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm I'm gonna make sure everything we do, it's gonna work no matter what. And we
What'd you
did.
learn? What'd you learn about your wife during that time period?
She was ride or die. She had the same mentality I had. We both wanted to be business owners. We both wanted more for our life. I think everybody goes to that stage where they're working and they hate their life. You might not hate your life, but like, you hate your life at the same time. Like, you're like, I feel like I'm meant more than just a 9 to 5, or maybe I feel like I'm meant more than $20 an hour or $30 an hour. Because if you think about it, there's days where I'm sure people drink and they sit back on a weekend and they're like, hey, like, what am I doing? I'm literally doing the same thing every single day. I'm working Monday to Friday to have a weekend off to go back to work doing something I hate. And you might love your job. Like, some people love their 9 to 5, but you're doing the same thing. You're living paycheck to paycheck to go out to the bar on a weekend just to live paycheck to paycheck again. And so we both have that mentality of like, we're made to be more than this. We're made to be free. We're supposed to have freedom. You're supposed to explore the world. You're supposed to have money come in, like manifest. We were big in manifesting at that point. Like, you need to create, like, your mindset is everything. You have that ability to change your your body. You have that change, or that mentality to change your life around with that mentality. And it's one of those things that you just have to go all in for it. Like, and she did that. She was like, I'm gonna be a boss ass bitch, and she did it. She went all in for it, and it just drove us closer. Like, yeah, there was arguments, stuff like that, but like, at that point, we created something together, and we have that special, that bond just from that as well.
What a blessing, huh?
Yeah.
That's an incredible story, man. So many people. I'm not gonna say women, because it could have been a man too. If it was the other way around, like, they would have just picked up and left, man. Because, hey, like, this isn't working out, or whatever the case may be. But I just like to recognize her, because that's incredible what she did. And I mean, both of you just supported each other so much. Austin, if I were to kind of summarize in one word where you were, it would be desperate. You're like desperation.
Oh yeah,
Right?
desperation.
Most people are not in that place where their back is against the wall. So
Yeah.
how can somebody that their house isn't going to get foreclosed on, they don't got to sell their stuff, how can somebody who's comfortable right now, they don't need to change, how can they get into a state of desperation without being in a place of desperation?
They gotta have goals bigger than themselves. I'm sure everybody wants a new car. Everybody wants, the Louis Vuittons. Everybody wants, a Gucci belt, or a new purse, new shoes, whatever it is. Like, everybody wants more than what they have, and that's just human beings, and that's just our nature. We want something that we don't have. We like that challenge to get it. And so you don't have to be desperate to have something or to go get after something. You have to just want it. You have to sit back and think, like, what do I want with my life? Do I want to have $1 million in my bank account just sitting there? Do I want to have that new Ferrari? Do I want to have the new truck? Or, do I want to have the freedom to travel? You don't have to want so much money, or want, to be put in that desperation state, but you have to want more than what you have now. If you're tired of, waking up early in the morning, I'm sure everybody would love to sleep until 11 every single day. So what are you going to do to drive to that goal? What are you going to do to where you don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day to go get coffee and then go straight into work, to get off, to drink, and then yeah. Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, you have to, you know, man up or woman up, and you have to be like, hey, like, I'm gonna do something. Like, I'm tired of this. Everybody gets so used to it, and they don't realize, like, what is the um retirement rate's like 70 years old right now. Like, you have to be like 70 years old to retire. It went from like 55 to
Isn't that
70.
crazy, man?
It's crazy. Like, who wants to work for 70 years to retire and not live comfortably? That's retiring with like $250,000 the rest of your life. Like, that's not a lot of money when you think about it, especially in Florida. The average person used to have to make what, $45,000 a year to live mediocre. I can't even say the name right now. You like have a mediocre life, but now the average, you have to make $100,000 to have a
Wow.
mediocre life. Like, it's crazy. I remember when we first hit our $100,000, I was like, oh, we get to do this. Like, we're gonna have a mansion, all this stuff, and the house rate went from like $100,000 for a 3,000 square foot house to now $700,000 for a 1,500 square foot house. It's crazy, and everything changes, and so you have to change with it. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're making $15 an hour, $17 an hour, that probably was a lot back then when you were like 12, 13 years old. But now that's not even enough to get by and survive and be able to drink coffee every single day or go out to eat twice a week. Like, you're literally living paycheck to paycheck while everything else increases. Your average salary is staying the exact same. And it's just not worth it at that point. Like, you have to wake up and want better goals for yourself. If you want to sit there and struggle the rest of your life, it's not for you. But if you want something better and you want to make a change and you want that lifestyle you've been dreaming of, you have to do something. You can't just sit there and wait for it. It's not going to come to you.
Putting money aside, like if money was not an object, what is it that you really want in life?
I want freedom. I want to be able to wake up and feel just happy. I want to be able to take time out and kind of enjoy life with my wife and my daughter and travel and see the world. Like, there's tons of different countries and even just states in the United States that are just beautiful. And we don't get to see that. Like, so many people live their whole entire life staying in one town. Money aside, like I would be traveling every single day if I could. There's so much more to life. Foods, think about all the different foods you can try, the different cultures, the different lifestyles that you can be seeing and experiencing, the different music, atmosphere. Like, it's just amazing at this point. Like, we're so used to one thing. Like, why not try multiple? That's what I crave, is just having that financial freedom and that freedom in general to go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want, man. That's what it's all about. Okay, cool. Well, man, what I love about you and your work that you're doing is you're helping a lot of online coaches really just crush the game. You guys like totally exploded, like you were just saying, and eventually like you developed a framework and system of your own where you're able to get your own clients some really great results. And I was preparing for this interview, and one of the things that struck me was a post that you made. It says, when you're wanting to grow your business, you can't continue to do the same things. You need to grow your skill set and learn new ways to move forward. So let me ask you this. Number one, what do you think most people are doing right now that they should probably stop doing? And what do you think are the skill sets or the things that people should start doing that would actually begin to produce results for them?
Man, there's so many things that people are doing right now that they should stop doing. I think the biggest thing is looking at motivation too often, and I used to be the same way, especially when I was in the gym. I would watch all these videos and, motivational speeches and speakers and stuff like that. Not taking away from speakers, like, they're awesome, like, it gets you pumped up, but you have to take action. And so many people are not taking action towards anything they do. They're watching something and being like, I want that. And they go back to their life. That's not going to do anything. Reading or doing the same thing, like cold messaging, you sit there and message. I'm sure everybody gets those. I'm sure you get messages all the time, like, hey, love your content. Like, I can make short form videos for, like, they go straight into your DMs. Like, stop doing that. Like, just have a conversation with someone. You see that message come in, you're like instantly like block or delete. Like,
Weirdos.
yeah, and people just need to stop doing that. People need to start taking action.
So what does that look like when we say taking action? Maybe describe for me the top 3 things that you see your most successful students do that really move the needle forward and allow them to get to where they say they want to go.
They invest in themselves. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean by like money, like paying a coach and stuff like that. I mean, they invest in themselves, their health, their knowledge. Like, they criticize themselves. They sit there and look at what they suck at and they work on it. You're not going to continue doing great things and being like, I'm going to keep doing this and have like think about like golf, right? You have a awesome drive, right? You hit the driver right down the fairway every single time, but your putting game and your iron work or your wedges just suck. You're not gonna go to the PGA tour and be like the best driver. And as soon as you get 120 yards from the green, you're gonna shit the bed. Like, you have to work on the things you suck. And so many people aren't used to being uncomfortable like that and going out of their comfort zone, that they stay in that comfort zone. They never learn from it. And so that's what they need to do. They need to get out of their comfort zone, and they need to invest themselves. They need to either, read more. They need to sit there and meditate. What I typically do, and I didn't do before. And when I started doing this and started taking care of my own self, my own, health, my business started booming a lot more. Like, I was more into work. I was more into my relationship. I was more into getting clients the success and results they wanted. Like, read every single day, wake up at a decent time. Don't go out partying and drinking. Drinking is okay, I guess. I don't drink anymore. It does nothing for you. You just feel like shit the next day. When I was in the military, I drank every single day, and it just doesn't do anything for you. Like, think about your own health. Read, cold plunge. I love cold plunging. I made a cold plunge in the backyard, and I do that every single day. Like, you have to want to better yourself to be able to better your business and your lifestyle. And something that my wife said is, you can't do something better than you do it yourself, or you can't love someone more than you love yourself. So you have to really find your purpose before you can sit there and try to give purpose to other people.
Yeah. So one of the things, Austin, about 6 months ago, I had a really hard time with finding my purpose because what I found, and this is my own personal experience, and we can kind of dialogue about this. What I found was that when I thought about my life purpose, when you're at a point of desperation, or you're at a point where you don't know exactly if it's going to work out, sometimes you sit there and you think, my purpose, like, that's so far beyond where I currently am. Like, how could I ever possibly know my life purpose if I can't even have enough money to pay my bills? Or like, I feel lost and I don't know, and I feel anxiety and depressed. And one of the things that I heard an author say was, he said, instead of setting a, like, this is my life purpose, a lot of the times, like, you don't know what that life purpose is going to be. And what he said, and Tanner said this to me, I asked him, I said, Tanner, sometimes I'm kind of worried if this is going to like be aligned with my big life purpose. And you know what he said to me? He said, Devin, you have one purpose right now, and that's to not be broke. So what I'm saying is, how do you recommend somebody that's in that low moment to find that purpose when it can be like seemingly so far-fetched?
I mean, the biggest thing is, like, if you don't start taking action or doing something, you're going to stay in that spot. Like, there's tons of times where I've been in desperate modes, before the business and everything. Like, even with the business, there's times where, 1 month we're doing 150,000, the next month we're doing 75,000, whatever it is. Like, there's times where you want to act on desperation, and that's the worst time to act. That's when, in the military, that's when you get people killed, or you get yourself killed. Like, you have to sit there and think logically, okay, I'm depressed right now. Why am I depressed? Backstep on why I got to this moment. What could I have done differently to get out of this moment or not be in this moment, and start doing those things instead of going out to the bar and now feeling like shit or having a hangover. What did I do to get this hangover? Okay, I went to the bar. Why did I go to the bar? Because I was invited out. Why didn't I just stay home? Why didn't I read? Why didn't I just watch TV and feel better the next day and go to the gym? You got to backtrack or backstep yourself and realize, why am I in this spot? How could I have prevented this, and what to do moving forward? Doesn't mean you can't go back in time, but you can start doing those things moving forward. Take better actions towards your goals. Small steps. You don't have to be like, okay, tomorrow I want to be a millionaire. It's not going to happen unless you win the lottery. But take those small steps. Every single step forward is a win, as long as you're not taking a step back. And even if you are, think about that next step forward. It's not like you're just going to roll down the hill all the way to the bottom. Like, you might take a step back, but just keep going. Small steps are wins every single day. Just like when losing weight, you're not going to lose 100 pounds in a day, but you lose 5 pounds in a month. That's a step forward. You fix something that you haven't fixed before. Now you're in the right direction. Keep going. Keep that momentum going.
So, Austin, a coach right now that's doing, I don't know, say less than 10 grand a month. They come to Austin and they say, Austin, I need to start doing that one little thing that you're referring to. What's like the tactical, actionable first step that you really suggest to people to really begin to generate the revenue that they say that they want? What is it? Is it messaging? Is it content creation? Is it, uh, hiring a setter? Like what would that be if you were to do it all again and you had to get to $10,000 in the next 30 days? What would you do?
I mean, it's a little different than for everyone because someone could have a great following and their content just as shit, and they can fix their content and easily get a couple clients in. Like every single business is different, just like every, fitness is different. Like every coach is different, every person is different, and they all have different needs. But the first thing I would do is like, okay, what actions have you taken so far? And more than likely, 9 times out of 10, with the coaches that have came to me and is like, hey, I need help. I've been working with this person, or I haven't done this, and I've been struggling to hit 5K, 10K a month. Most of the time, they're not doing anything. They're working 5 hours a week. They're sitting there like, hey, I'm posting, but no one's coming to me. I'm doing this, but no one's coming. It's like they're not actually working. You have to treat your online business as a full-time job. You need to sit there and put time into it. Like there's going to be a time where you can work 5 hours a week, but that's not today. you know you have to, more than likely, they're just not putting the work in. They're not messaging, they're not talking to people, they're not doing content, they're just slacking on every single bit. But if someone came to me and was like, hey, I need to, like, told me, like, had a gun to my head and was like, hey, you got to make 10K in the next 30 days, more than likely I would probably just start messaging every single person. Like, who cares if you say get a no, especially in online. I know messaging is not the priority, but if that was the route, like in desperation, I would be like, you need to try to get in front of as many people as possible in the fastest way possible, and then go.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. I mean, it's definitely the most time consuming, definitely the most, it hurts the ego the most to hear a lot of no's, especially it's like terrible when people don't respond. And it's like, I put in all this work and 2 people responded to me. Man, it's really something. Now it teaches you a lot. Austin, what makes you different than a lot of other people online that are teaching people something similar,
A lot of
to what you're teaching?
Yeah, a lot of people, they just throw their modules at them and say, hey, watch this, go do this, and I'll give you, I'll sit there and help you every once in a while. What we do that's different is all of our things are customized towards each person, each business. Like I said earlier, you know, someone that's great with content might not be great with messaging, and they don't have to message, but if I sit there and was like, hey, you need to DM 100 people a day, and it's not working for them because their whole profile and their whole business strategy is supposed to be for content and stuff like that. So every business is different. It needs to be treated that way. So what we do that's different is when they come on, we have a full on conversation with them. Even after our sales call and stuff, they say yes. We go on for like an hour, hour and a half, and we go into detail about their business. Like, where have you been? If they've had a business already up, where have you been? Where do you want to be? What have you done so far? Let's look at everything, every aspect. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? And then we come up with a game plan together. Either myself, Sam, our coaches, anything like that. It gets very customized into what you want to do. And from that point, like, we work on those things that they were struggling with. And we see, it's trial and error. And a lot of people don't take that time to get to know their client. They're like, hey, do this. Hope this works for you. If it doesn't work, you suck. There's a lot of coaches out there that are like, hey, if this isn't working for you, you just suck at what you're doing. And it's not the case. Like, everyone needs to be treated different for their business and their business goals. And so, like I said, something we do different is it's all customized towards the person. And a lot of coaches don't do that.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. Is one size fits all approach. I've seen that a lot. People charging a lot of money for something that is not customized to me. I do not like that. So, man, I think that's really awesome. And you're helping so many people, which I really like. If there's one thing I learned, Austin, really, it's what you helped me realize on the yacht that day. It's the fact that you will only go as far as your mindset will allow you to go. And there's probably a lot of people on here that are like, but I want the tactical strategy. Like, tell me, what do I say in the message? And what do I say to grab the hook at the beginning of the reel so I can get 2 million views? Like, what do you say? Because this is what's held me back the most, quite frankly. It's like the fear of a no. Like on a sales call, I'm cool with a no. But if it's in a messenger, I'm like, oh, they got 2 million followers. I don't want to send them a message. So, like, where do you feel like this? Like, how do I overcome? Like, talk to me. How do I overcome that fear of rejection or that desire for the need of acceptance? because I feel like once that's gone, it's like, boom, let's just crank these out. I don't give a crap what they say. How do I overcome that, Austin? Help me out.
So the biggest thing, and I, it's just this is something I used to talk about all the time. Is think of it like a blind date, right? You're not in person with somebody. You're not in front of someone. You're not, getting to know someone. It's not like you're an ugly guy or an ugly girl going up to this immaculate man or woman and you're like, hey, nerdy, pull up your glasses, like, would you like to go on a date with me? Because a lot of people, I understand that because they're looking at you, they're talking with you, they can hear your voice, they see who you are, they can spread rumors, whatever it is. A lot of people are scared of that action to take. And the biggest thing with being online and the most advantage is you're behind a screen. you know if you get told no, that is literally the worst that can happen. You can get told no. What does that mean for you? It just literally means it's two letters, no or no thank you. Okay, move on to the next, because more than likely they will see your success as you build up and they'll want to come to you. There's hundreds of, probably a good 300 of my clients when we were doing fitness coaching came to me after they saw the progress that my other clients were getting. After they told me no, after they told me they weren't interested, a month later, they reached out to me, hey, I saw your results on this client, or I saw your post about this and this and this, and I'm really struggling with this right now. Like, I'd love to learn more information about it. Okay, I'm going to upcharge you. No, you already told me no. Now I'm going to do something. But it's just getting told the fact that you're behind a computer screen. Like, it's not like they can hit you. It's not like they can burn your house down. It's not like you're losing money. You're getting just told no. You can literally just, okay, exit out of that message, and they're gone forever. And they'll more than likely, like I said, come back to you. You just have to have that mentality, and it's not a hard mentality to have, especially when you're doing sales. Like, sales is the biggest thing inside of any business. And if you suck at sales and you're scared to talk to people, it's probably just not for you. And that's okay. You're just not made to be out like that. But like I said, you have to be okay with just those two little letters. No, it's not going to affect you. It's not going to break your mentality. It's not going to hurt you in any way. It's just a no. It's just a word. You talk multiple words throughout the day. Like, it's not a big deal. And there's nothing that I can say that's going to be like, oh, that's right. Like, just forget it. I'm gonna have that mentality of like, I'm gonna message 1,000 people, and if 1,000 people say no, I'm gonna be okay, because it does affect you at some point. You're like, hey, what I'm doing isn't working. But at that point, if you're messaging 100 people and you're getting 100 no's, more than likely it's probably just your messaging. It might not be just talking to people. You need to kind of look at what you're saying and look at what you're doing, and more than likely you'll see a habit of yes, 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 and all of a sudden at this point of the message, no, not interested, or they fall off. And it will be that multiple message after message after message. And so at that point, you need to change that effect or that aspect or the way you're talking or the way you're saying something. And more than likely it'll change. But there's nothing that I can say and do that will magically not make you upset with no's. But you just have to think of it that way. It's just a letter or two letters together. It's just a word. You're behind a computer screen. Nothing's going to happen to you. It's just move on to the next one. And I guarantee you they'll come back later on.
Man, I would say it's easy, but it's so difficult.
I wish I could tell you something else.
The only way to get through it though is to really just to do it, man. That's the only real way to really be able to overcome that. So, Austin, really, I want to know where you're taking this, because you're doing some crazy, awesome things. You went from fitness coaching to helping coaches. Like, what's the vision with what you're doing, man? Because you're helping so many people. Like, where do you see yourself taking this thing?
Honestly, I haven't got to that point where I'm like, hey, this is my end goal. I'm literally just riding with it and seeing where our vision takes us, just like when we started fitness coaching. I didn't know when I first started personal training at a gym, like, hey, I want to do online fitness. It just kind of happened and I wanted to take that action towards it. I felt more strongly about it. I can tell you that our vision right now is to be able to step out a little bit more, and to kind of create more free content to give to people, help them out of that space, because the whole point of going into business coaching was a lot of coaches were coming up to us because we had such success that they were in the same spot as us before we started. They were struggling. They had no money. Maybe they just got a divorce. Maybe they're in a battle for custody of kids. Like, their income's not coming in anymore. And they're in that desperation mode. And going back to what we said before, there's a lot of people aren't in that, but the whole reason why we started this is because, we were in that spot. We know exactly how it feels and how shitty it feels to be there. And so the whole point of doing this was to be able to help people out in a fairly manner, obviously get paid for what we do, but not charge. We don't charge what a lot of other coaches charge. Like, we're a lot on the less aspect because we're not in it just for the money. Like, our whole goal of this is to be able to help as many people as possible, not make as much money as possible, you know? And by doing that, our clients are seeing a lot more success, a lot more results, and we get more clients in. So the money rises, yeah, but it's just to help as many people as possible and to be able to see that change. Because when you're a fitness coach, you don't get excited for having a client. You get excited for them coming to you later on, crying to you like, hey, like, you changed my life. Like, there's tons of clients that called us and they're like crying to us on the phone, like, hey, you changed my life. I haven't been able to have a kid in 8 years. I was working with you for 3 months. Doctors all of a sudden said I'm pregnant. Like, or, we had this client that didn't have her, her cycle for, I think it was like 3 years, something like that. And she was freaking out, and she worked with us for 2 months, and she started her natural cycle again. Her hormones were back on balance. Like, we changed her life, and she was extremely grateful for it. So it's the same process. It's just to have that feeling of, hey, I did something, I made a difference in the world, even if it's a small thing. It's like it's a huge win for us. So, eventually we want to be able to step out a little bit more, kind of expand it, maybe start another business, maybe start a podcast just talking about it. But as of right now, there is no end goal in sight yet. It's just keep grinding, keep doing as much as possible.
So you're telling me that we don't all have to have our next 20, 30, 40, 50 years planned? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I don't even have the next year plan. I have what I'm doing next month and maybe the month after. And
Dude, that's a good point though. Like,
there's no point, because a lot of people set themselves up for those end goals and they don't get to it, or they're not on track for it, and they freak out, and it just ruins everything else that's going for them. I'm a big believer in keep going and going and going. And when you have a different idea or you have something else, like, go for that as well. But if you set yourself up for losing 20 pounds in a month, and you're, 25 days in, you only lost 5 pounds or 10 pounds, more than likely you're going to freak out and think it's not working and you're going to quit. It's the same thing here. Don't set that end goal of, I have to be doing this by this time. Set the end goal for, I would love to be here at the end, but if I'm not, it's okay, because I'm on the right track. So,
well, Austin, I appreciate it, man, because I even find myself in that, quite frankly. Like, I was at a pretty desperate place like 6, 7, 8 months ago, just because of that. Like, I was thinking about 40, 50 years from now, like, is this in alignment with my greater purpose? It's like, dude, your purpose right now is to not be poor, like,
yep.
to just to do what's in front of you. I think a lot of people get sidetracked with that. They want to think about the next thing down the road while ignoring their current circumstance. But regardless, Austin, what do you, if somebody wants to work with you, wants to really get in touch with you, they're like, damn, this dude Austin is so handsome, I have to work with him. What would somebody do to get in touch with you? What's the best way that people can really reach out to learn more about what you guys do?
They can reach out on Facebook. It's just Austin Nichols. It's me in my blue suit. Or they can reach out to my wife. It's Samantha J. Nichols on Instagram, or myself on Instagram for Online Coaching Elites. I do not have a personal Instagram anymore. Got tired of focusing on my Instagram and trying to grow so much that I kind of lost track of why I was even doing this in the first place. So I have just the business one going right now. But if they want to get in contact with me or my wife, it's Online Coaching Elites for Instagram, or Samantha J. Nichols on Instagram, or Austin Nichols on Facebook. Simply just message me. You can even just say podcast, not know where you came from, an easy way for me to know where you heard from me.
Sweet. Well, brother, I appreciate you being here. It has really been a plum-pleasing pleasure. I've learned so much from you over probably the past, how long is it? Like the past 8 or 9 months. And from me to you, man, I want to say thank you, because you've definitely lit something within me that was not there prior to you coming into my life, bro. So thank you for just being that person for me. And what I love most is that you're being that person for other people. So if there's somebody listening to this, I want to encourage you, please reach out to Austin, because there's very few people that care as much as Austin does. There's a lot of people that will teach you tactics and strategies how to grow your business, but I feel confident saying that there's not many other people out there that will care for you genuinely like Austin and his wife will. So Austin, brother, thank you for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you having me, man. It was great connecting again and kind of, telling our story. We haven't been able to tell our story to a lot of people, and a lot of people think that they're the only ones in a bad spot, and it's not the case. There's a lot of people in the same spot that have been where they are and are where they want to be. So I appreciate you having me on.